Let's continue with our estimation. We're going to do part B, the number of leaves on a large oak tree during a normal summer. So let me switch to a blank piece of paper and see if we can tackle that. Get some reasonable numbers out of this. Now my strategy here is just thinking about it. What I'm going to do is put the oak tree into a box, and you have to forgive my poor drawing here, but this is going to be like a virtual rectangular box, and I'm going to put the oak tree inside that, or I'm trying to sketch this to make sense. And what I'm going to try to do is estimate the volume of that box, and then how many leaves per cubic foot are in there. So let's figure this out. Let's use our power of 10 imagination here, and we'll say for the height of this box, if you think about a normal oak tree, certainly, we can start with 1 foot. That's going to be too small. 10 feet, 100 feet, 1,000 feet. So we're going to consider those. Certainly it's not 1,000 feet. That's 1/5 of a mile high. And we know an oak tree isn't that tall. We also know it's more than 1 foot, and it's certainly going to be more than 10 feet. So we end up with 100 feet as our order of magnitude estimate. And likewise, we can do the base of this the same way. We can write down 1, 10, 100. We can pretty well stop there because we know it's not going to be 100 feet. It's not going to be 1 foot. So we'll choose 10. So we're going to have a box that's 10 feet on a side, 100 feet high, and that gives us 100 times 100 is 10,000 cubic feet. Okay, so we've got 10,000 cubic feet partially filled with oak tree. And then it's reasonable to just make a guess here to whittle this down a little bit and to say, well, about how much of this box is filled with the leafy part of the oak tree and not just the trunk and air and stuff like that. So let's cut this in half. Let's say about half is the crown, if you will, of the tree. Okay, now I don't mean, when I say half is leaves, I don't mean that half that whole volume is just jam-packed with leaves. I just mean that's the leafy part of the tree. So we're gonna say, well, we've got about 5,000 cubic feet to consider. Now, what we're going to do is to say, well, all right, how many leaves are there per cubic foot in the leafy part? And there again, we're going to do a power of 10 estimate. If you imagine a virtual box in the leafy part of an oak tree, 1 foot on a side, is it going to have 1 leaf, 10 leaves, 100 leaves, 1,000? All right, probably not 1, right? Because a cubic foot is going to hold more than 1 leaf. Probably not 1,000. That's an awful lot. So you have a reasonable choice between 10 or 100, and I'm just going to choose 10. Thinking about, oak trees are fairly sparsely leafed out, and they're fairly large leaves. So I'm going to choose 10. You might choose 100. That's just an individual consideration, but I think it's probably closer to 10. And that means the number of leaves is going to be 5,000 cubic feet times 10 leaves per cubic foot, or 50,000 leaves. Okay? And so that's my final estimate for that part.